Hey, what's up? Arvin here. Today we're going to be drawing cars, and I'm going to be doing that starting with a box. So let's get started. Hey, this is Arvin. Welcome to Driven to Draw. And today we're going to be drawing a car using the box method in perspective. So things that are difficult to draw can be simplified if you just start to use fundamentals and start with basic shapes and forms before you try to tackle those complexities without it. Now, before we start and dive into this topic, if you enjoy drawing and really like to be creative, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Alright, so let's start with the basics here. We've got a rectangular box that I started off with, and it's in 2-point perspective. And a lot of the things that I do when I start off with drawing something that's complex is to break things down to simpler forms. I mean, you've heard me discuss this several times on a lot of different other subjects, and I've made a habit of practicing this, and it really helps to ground how I approach drawing. I used to be really confused at first when I did this at the beginning because I was just not able to understand it. But now, as you make this into a habit and just focus on basic forms, you'll find that things become a lot easier for you. It takes a little time, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So what I'm doing here is, I'm not drawing any kind of special car or anything like that. It's just an exercise to practice drawing and just sculpting forms from a 2D shape, or sorry, 3-dimensional shape, which is starting off with just a rectangle here. So after I construct my basic shape, what's really important for me is just to gradually start to sculpt the rectangular form into some sort of a aerodynamic form. The objective is not to make a really pretty looking car. It's just basically to understand how to construct the forms and create these sections so that you can connect all the sections together in order to create and draw the full form. So what I've done here is that I kept the front pretty flat, and then I'm focusing here on the side view, and on my side view I've got like a profile of just a slight curve that comes down to the front of the hood, and then I extend that out here to the rear. And you can see here I've got a little bit of a rear overhang from the rear wheel, just so that I can extend it. I've drawn my ellipses. I don't want to go into the full construction of the ellipse. If you look at some of my other videos, you've seen how I break the ellipses down and then draw those ellipses in perspective. But essentially what I used to do when I started drawing these was to draw a cylinder, and I would take that right across to the other side. So with experience and practice, I've learned to cultivate and understand what the correct ellipse is going to be, the degrees of the ellipse in perspective. And now I can just sort of project that onto that particular plane. So I'm going to drop in another ellipse. And as you can see here on the top face, we've now kind of constructed the box that has a little bit of a curvature here. And now I'm just adding another shape on top of the box. So this is going to be where my window of the car is going to be. And notice I'm dropping another vertical line. I'm extending that over in perspective, following my perspective guideline. And then I'm going to connect the other side and then draw the same shape that's going to recede to the rear of the vehicle. So see, I've got two curves that are looking fairly similar. So this car is basically sort of like a hatchback. I'm going to extend this here, and I'm going to create what we call the A pillar of the car. So you have an A pillar, and you got a B pillar, which is at the rear. And then for the windshield, I'm just going to create that curve in the front and add a little bit more of a curve, or crown as we call it, to the top. You don't want everything flat, right? You want to add some curvature to your vehicles. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a block with wheels. So this is how we kind of construct things and slowly introduce some shape and form to it. And once you practice this, what is really interesting about this is that you can tackle this so many different ways. You can make the rear wheel much larger than the front. You can experiment with adding hood scoops. You can add some theme lines or character lines here on the side, which is what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to describe that shape with a section through there so that you can see what that shape is doing in that particular section. You can see that just doing these simple exercises and planning your drawing out, working with sections, is really beneficial for you. You don't have to make it look beautiful and pretty right away. You start with something like this, and then as your skill grows, you can start taking your your Hot Wheels cars or any other pictures, and then you can start with a profile that looks like that vehicle. So I think this sketch for now is done. I think give this a shot and let me know what you think. If you do like cars and stuff, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to create some more content surrounding vehicles and vehicle design. But I hope you enjoyed this, and next video we'll try to do some hood scoops and make it a little bit more interesting. Keep practicing. We'll see you next week.